Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah al-aliyyil azim. Alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Sallallahu ala sayyidina wa nabiyyina Abul Qasim al-Mustafa Muhammad. Wa ala alihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin la siyama baqiyat al-mawt al-abadi. Allahumma akhrijni min dhulumat al-wahm wa akrimni bi nur al-fahm. اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علمك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for guidance and assistance. You remember we started last week the second chapter, which is about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's attributes, and we studied the text by al-Hadi rahmatullah alayh, in which he argued for the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we mentioned his argument, discussed it, but now we want to expand by studying the commentary by the late Fazl Maghdad and see how the same argument can be developed, further. Of course, if you understood what we said last week, that will be sufficient, but this is just to add more clarification. The first thing that Fazl Maghdad does, and this is something that we should always remember, is in any discussion, first to clarify the concepts that you use. Okay? So this is what we call conceptual clarification. So before you talk about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being Qadir and Mukhtar, talk what do you mean by Qudra, what do you mean by Ikhtiyar, what do you mean by hudus, qadim, haraka, sukun, these type of things that you use in this argument, because many times people disagree because they have not understood the concepts in the same way. So what this person is refuting is not what the other person is trying to prove. So they disagree. But if they had made sure first that they are discussing about the same thing, it would have been much easier. The story that is mentioned in Masnavi, that three people, were disagreeing, quarreling about, for example, what to eat. One was saying grape, for example. One was saying Enab, one was saying, for example, Angur. Of course, instead of grape, was in Turkish. So they thought they disagree and they were maybe fighting, but in reality they were saying the same thing, but in different languages. So many times people differ because they didn't make sure that they have the same understanding, common, understanding. So we first start with clarifying concepts. Aqul. Who says aqul? Fazl Maghdad rahmatullah alayhi. Lamma faragha min ithbat al-dhat shara'a fi isbat al-thifat. When the author, Allama Halli, faragha means when he finished. Yeah, faragha means what? Finished. Faragh al-tahsil means graduate. Yeah, someone who has finished a study, they call it faragh al-tahsil. Lamma faragha min isbat al-dhat, when or after Allama Halli finished proving the essence, and he mean by the essence wajibul wujud, after proving the existence of God, شرع في إثبات الصفات. He started proving qualities. So first he proved the essence of God, that there is such a thing as wajib al-wujud. Then he started proving qualities of wajib al-wujud. وَقَدَّمَ الصِّفَاتِ الثُّبُوتِيَّةِ. You know, we have two types of divine qualities. Thubuti, which is affirmative, salbi, which is negative, or negational. It's better to say negational. Why Allah Mahalli started with affirmative qualities, with sifat subutiyya? Why he didn't start with sifat salbiyya? Because these are existential, the qualities that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has. Knowledge exists for him, yeah? Power, all this. Which one is better? Which one is more noble? Which one is ashraf? Existence or non-existence?
Existence.
Existence. So existence is better than non-existence. So if you want, Assalamu alaikum. If you want to start, is it better to start with something which is better and more honorable, or with something which is less honorable? Which one is better?
One which is available.
More honorable. So, since Sifat Subutiyya refer to existence, therefore they are more important than Sifat Salbiyya. And Allah Mahalli in his discussion started with what is more important, what is more noble, more honorable. Okay? So, this is a lesson. A lesson to take from Allah Mahalli, and a lesson also to take from Fazil Miqdad. What is the lesson you take from Allah Mahalli?
You mean in general or in theology especially?
In general.
In general, I would say you will discuss firstly the positive things. You give the positive things.
Discuss existence before non-existence.
Yes. In a general way, Allah Mahalli is teaching us that order is very important. Start always with what is more important, what has priority. Because maybe you would not have enough time to do all of them. So it's better to do the most important ones first. Okay? So always in your life, do the most important ones. Okay? You have mubahasa and you have shopping. And you need both of them. But which one is more important? Mubahasa. First do mubahasa, then necessary shopping. Okay?
Inshallah.
If God forbids you die, and you have only done one of them, which one is better? If you have done mubahasa or you have done shopping? It's better if you have done the mubahasa. So a lesson from Allah Mahalli is, it's not just important to do things. It's also important in which order you do the things. Okay? The order is very important. A lesson from Fazil Miqdad. What is that?
First you prove the existence and then the qualities.
No. No. Allah Mahalli first mentions affirmative qualities, then negational qualities. And we said what is the reason for giving priority to affirmative ones. But there is also a lesson we can learn from Fazil Miqdad. Allah Mahalli teaches us that we should give attention to order. Fazil Miqdad teaches us that we should give attention to the way ulama speak, ulama write. There is always a reason. Allah Mahalli is not a person who speaks something just by chance. If he first talks about Sifat Subutiyyah, there must be a reason for it. Ulama are wise, okay? So for everything they do or they don't do, there is a reason. So Fazil Miqdad tries to explain to us why Allah Mahalli started first with Sifat al-Subutiyya. If Fazil Miqdad was thinking that Allah Mahalli just, by chance did this, he would not have explained this point. You get the point? Okay. لما فرغ من إثبات الذات شرع في إثبات الصفات. When Allah Mahalli finished proving the essence of God, not wajibul wujud, started with proving the qualities. وقدم الصفات الثبوتية. الصفات الثبوتية. We don't say الصفات الثبوتية. Why? No. What is the role of صفات here? Is مفعول به.
It's female. It's female.
What, when you have plural with alif and ta, then whether it is nasb or jar, it comes with kasr. وما بتا وألف قد جمعا يكسر في الجر وفي النصب معا. Whatever is made plural by alif and ta, in jar and nasb it's maksur. So قدم الصفات, but this is mansub, it's not majrur. الثبوتية, because this is adjective and has to follow the موصوف which is mansub. Okay, قدم الصفات الثبوتية لأنها وجودية, because the affirmative qualities are existential, والسلبية عدمية, and the negationals are non-existential. والوجود أشرف من العدم. Wujud is more noble, more valuable than non-existence. Of course, in Arabic and in many languages, when we say something is better or is more noble, salam alaikum, it can mean that the other side has also some nobility, or it can mean the other one doesn't have anything. Yeah? For example, if we say Al-Jannatu khayrun min al-nar, this doesn't mean that Jannah is good, Nar is good, but Jannah is better. Khayr sometimes doesn't mean both are good, but one is better. Ashraf doesn't necessarily mean that both are sharif and one is more noble. It can mean both are sharif, but one is more noble. It can mean that just one is noble, the other one is not noble. This is what we do it in English, in Farsi, in Arabic. Al-wujudu ashrafu min al-adam. Existence is better, more noble, more valuable than non-existence. Wal-ashrafu muqaddamun ala ghayrih. And what is more noble precedes what is not like that. Now, why among affirmative qualities he started with qudra? For everything there must be a reason. We said why he talked about sifat al-subutiyya. Now, why among different sifat al-subutiyya, different affirmative qualities, why he started with qudra, with power? وَابْتَدَأَ بِكَوْنِهِ قَادِرًا. Allah Mahalli rahmatullah alayhi started with proving that Allah is powerful لِاسْتِدْعَاءِ الصُّنْعِ الْقُدْرَةِ, because creation requires power. If you are not able to prove that God is powerful, then the whole issue of God being creator collapses. Istid'a means it requires. Istid'a is sun'a. Sun'a means what? Creation. Sani' means creator, sun'a means creation. Listid'a is sun'a. al-Qudrah. So you understood why we talk about divine qualities, why we talk about affirmative ones, and why we talk about Qudrah in particular. All of these has reason. وَلْنَذْكُرْ هُنَا مُقَدَّمَةً. Father Miqdad says we should mention here an introduction. As I said, this introduction is to clarify concepts that we use. This is very important. In every discussion, you first make sure that you have common understanding with the opposite party, with the audience about the topics. وَلْنَذْكُرْ هُنَا مُقَدَّمَةً تَشْتَمِلُ عَلَى تَصَوُّرِ مُفْرَدَاتِ هَذَا الْبَحْثِ. This introduction contains tasawwur, means conception, understanding of mufradat, the concepts that we use in this discussion. فَنَقُولُ. So, first just we give you a few definitions. After giving definitions, then we start the argument. Al-Qadir al-Mukhtar. We want to prove that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Qadir Mukhtar. So, what is Qadir Mukhtar? Before we argue, let us understand what is Qadir Mukhtar, what we want to prove. Al-Qadir al-Mukhtar. In Kalam, in theology, when they say Qudrah, they mean كون الفاعل بحيث إذا شاء فعل وإن لم يشاء لم يفعل. This is very brief. In the book it says this with more, words. It's the same idea. Always in Kalam, when they talk about Qudrah, they don't mean, for example, power of sun, power of water. In physics, when we say power, we can use power for non-living beings or power for animals, yeah? But in Kalam, when they talk about Qudrah, it comes with ikhtiyar. What does it mean? It means that the fa'il, the agent, the doer, is able to do something when he wants and not to do when he doesn't want. إذا شاء فعل وإذا لم يشاء لم يفعل. Okay? So, القادر المختار هو الذي إذا شاء يفعل فعل. When he decides, he wills to do, he does. وإن شاء يترك, and if he decides not to do, ترك, he leaves it. مع وجود قصد وإرادة. He has intention, he has will. He decides based on his own will to do or not to do. Opposite to Al-Qadir al-Mukhtar is Al-Fa'il al-Mujab. Mujab means forced, the one which is forced. The one that does something but not according to his own will. This is very important. Sun shines. Fire burns. You cannot say sun doesn't do anything, fire doesn't do anything. No, they do things. But it's not possible for sun to say, I want to shine or I don't want to shine. Fire cannot say, I decide to burn or not to burn. It's not up to fire to decide. It's not up to sun to decide. Okay? So this is called mujab.
Forced.
Forced. Al-mujabu bikhilafhi. Mujab is the agent that is not able to act according to his own will. وَالْفَرْقُ بَيْنَهُمَا مِنْ وُجُوهٍ. In order to explain it further, so that inshallah you fully grasp this notion, we mention few differences. There are few differences between Al-Qadir al-Mukhtar and Al-Mujab. Okay? The first difference, أن المختار, this Mukhtar is not Mukhtar in the movie, yeah? Al-Mukhtar يمكنه الفعل والترك معا. Mukhtar is the one who can do, so it's possible for him to do something. It's also possible for him not to do. Both of them are possible for him. يمكنه الفعل والترك معا, both. بالنسبة إلى شيء واحد. It's very important to be with respect to the same thing. Not, with respect to two things. For example, he can do this and he can also stop doing this. That is not important. For example, fire can burn and fire can, for example, stop making something wet. Fire doesn't make anything wet. But these are two different things, not important. It's important to have the ability of doing something and not doing the same thing. Okay, Mukhtar is the one that can do something and can also stop doing the same thing. أن المختار يمكنه الفعل والترك معا, together, بالنسبة إلى شيء واحد, doing and not doing the same thing. والموجب بخلافه. Mujab is different, it's opposite. It means that cannot have both of them in his control, to do and not to do the same thing. Mujab doesn't have this choice. الثاني أن فعل المختار مسبوق بالعلم والقصد والإرادة. The action of free or willing agent is preceded by knowledge and intention and will. He knows what he wants to do or not to do, and then decides whether he wants to do it or he doesn't want to do it. Knowledge is there, intention and will are also there. بخلاف الموجب. Mujab maybe doesn't know what he is doing. Maybe, I'm not saying always. Sometimes you do something you don't do. For example, fire doesn't know what it's doing. If you ask fire, when it's burning your hand, why are you burning my hand? What would the fire say?
It's my job.
Pardon?
It's my job.
No, the fire says, I didn't understand what you said. So first of all, I didn't understand what you say. Secondly, I didn't understand what I did. Okay? So fire doesn't have any knowledge. Sometimes Mujab has knowledge. Like what? We take someone to, for example, top of a building or mountain, and we drop. When that person is falling down, okay, gravity is taking him down. You ask him, what are you doing? He says, I am falling down. Why? He says, it's not in my control. So, it has knowledge of what he's doing, but it's not in his hand. So, Mujab sometimes doesn't know, sometimes maybe knows, but cannot stop. For example, you know that you are becoming older, but can you stop it? No. So, sometimes there is no knowledge, sometimes there is knowledge, but no will.
So you can have the knowledge, the ilm, but you can never have the qudra, the power to stop.
No, you can. But if you are mukhtar,
No, mujib.
mujab, yes.
You can have ilm. but-
Mujab either doesn't have any knowledge or does have knowledge but cannot do anything. So it means that the action is not based on knowledge. And even if you have the knowledge, this is accidental. Because this action is not preceded by knowledge and will. Doesn't depend on knowledge and will. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay. أن فعل المختار مسبوق بالعلم والقصد والإرادة بخلاف الموجب. Mujab doesn't have these, all of them, but maybe has one of them. For example, has knowledge but not irada. But can someone have irada without knowledge? No. Irada without knowledge is not possible, but knowledge without irada is possible. Third, أن فعل المختار يجوز تأخره عنه. The action of a powerful and willing agent can come later, can come after the existence of the agent. It doesn't require that whenever there is this agent, the action must be there. But mujab always is with his action, because the action is not something that he has control, he chooses. You remember last week we said, whenever there is sun, it shines. You cannot find sun without shining. You cannot have fire without burning, as long as fire is concerned, as long as sun. They don't have control. It's not that sun says, for example, on Fridays I don't want to shine, or on Sundays I don't want to shine. Okay? So, just I finish this sentence and we continue after Salah. إن فعل المختار يجوز تأخره عن. The action of the agent which is willing is possible to come later, but the action of the one which is forced cannot be separated from it. They always are together, like sun and shining, fire and burning. Inshallah, we continue after Salah.